Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asmal. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than climbing the corporate ladder. We are experiencing a little bit of load shedding, but we proceed nonetheless. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be on podcast tomorrow morning. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. If you're watching live, please drop a one in the comments. And if you're joining us on the recording, please drop a two in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves. My guest for this week is Otsile Matheba, Chief Financial Officer of A2X Market Stock Exchange. Otsile, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tooways.
Let's jump straight into questions. So tell us your story. Maybe where do you come from? And outside of work, who is Otsile Matheba? Give us that backstory.
All right, sure. So originally born in Rustenburg, but my parents sent me off very, very early on, to Potchefstroom, where I spent the next 12 years in terms of my schooling. Attended Potch Boys. Made my way to Joburg to complete my, to study accounting at Wits University. So yeah, that's a little bit of a brief background in terms of my educational journey and basically how I ended up to where I am now. Eventually, after finishing off with accounting, at Wits University, I then did my articles through Coca-Cola, and eventually progressing and qualifying as a CA that way.
Amazing. And outside of work, what are you, a sports person? What do you enjoy?
Yeah, so there's two main things there's actually a couple of things that I really enjoy doing. So number one, I'm a casual or runner, social runner. So I try to get that in quite a bit. Developed a keen interest in motorbikes. So one of the things I enjoy on the weekend is just going on my bike. Apart from that, so those are the main things. And then obviously really, really love music. Love reading as well. So I'd say that those are like the main points in terms of like outside of work, what I enjoy doing and who I am.
So moving back to what you mentioned earlier, you started your training or your training contract at Coca-Cola. And it was probably the time when very few people didn't go the audit direction. So what made you push and decide to go in that direction when everybody else was going the other way?
Yeah, good question. I think for one, I'd started looking at the top option or outside of public practice, as it was known at that time. During my varsity years, I think it occurred to me very, very quickly that I didn't want to go through the whole the auditing route. I had a sort of a brief idea in terms of what it is that I wanted to do. And I knew that auditing wasn't it. So I didn't see a point in, spending 3 years of my life in something that I knew that, I wasn't really going to do. I wanted to almost get that real world experience as soon as possible. So, yeah.
Okay, now that gives us a good understanding. If anybody's got any questions for Otsile, please add it into the comments now and we'll answer them all towards the end. So, I mean, Coca-Cola and then SAB Miller, it's very consumer markets focused and retail focused. And then you switch to financial services at Peregrine and A2X. How did you find that switch from consumer markets to financial services? Because they're not like right next to each other. It's a bit of a jump.
No, 100%. So, I was at when I was at Coca-Cola. The focus there in terms of your articles is financial management. So that's your core specialization. Whereas if you go to, let's say, the big four, the auditing route, obviously then your core competency there is then auditing. So immediately as I was finished with my articles, I was offered, to either stay on at Coca-Cola or to join what I'd call is the sister organization, which is where SAB is. By that stage, I'd actually already started, developing a passion on like a little bit of a side project, reading quite a lot of financial books, started investing on the side, and seeing that this is something that I really, really, enjoy, and I think I could potentially be quite good at. And I then decided to start trying my hand in terms of trying to get into financial markets. The jump was not easy. Unfortunately, once you've been in some industry, you get typecast into that industry, and so I had to fight really, really hard, to show that I could survive in the financial industry, and the rest, as I say, is history.
That's not, but at least somebody who's so anybody who's thinking of switching, Otsile is a good guide. I see your LinkedIn profile says that you did a postgraduate diploma in business administration. So just interestingly, why did you choose that instead of maybe an MBA? And tell us about that experience, and would you recommend it to other young professionals?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, obviously, after doing 7 years of, hardcore accounting, I just wanted to really, really break out of that mold again, and, just to see the world differently. So that's why I just decided to expand my mind a little bit, to go into, doing a PDBA. That really just exposed me. It was like almost dipping my foot in. I didn't want to go full on MBA because I wasn't sure that's something that I necessarily also want to do. But this was a way of also just keeping my mind active, and exploring other interests other than what I've already specialized in, which was accounting.
Okay. Okay. And I see that the CFO of a stock exchange, it sounds like a lot of responsibility. I mean, the business that you work for is responsible for how many other businesses operate. Tell us a bit about what your role is like.
Yeah, 100%. So just to give everyone a brief background is that A2X, the company that I currently work for, began operations in October of 2017. And this was after, being granted an exchange license. So I was involved, in my prior role with Peregrine Securities, and we obviously who are now a client of A2X. So I started seeing, what the guys were doing with A2X, and preparing for the launch. I joined, I applied and I joined shortly after launch, I think December of that year, and it's been a very, very interesting. A lot of responsibility. I think I took it on. Number one is to really just stretch myself as much as possible, but also I believed in the vision. I believe that we had the right people, that we had the right backers. The vision was strong enough, and I thought it was something that I really want to get involved in. And basically breaking a 134-year monopoly sounded like a great way to spend my time.
Go big or go home, eh? Go big or go
Yeah,
home.
100%.
And you said, I mean, you aimed when you joined, you aimed to stretch yourself. Did that actually occur, or was it what you expected, or was it something totally different?
Yeah, so I mean, the entrepreneurship journey, and joining in with some of the founders is very, very hard. But you do it because it's hard. You don't do it because it's easy. And I think from that sense, it's been very, very fulfilling. Seeing something that's written on a piece of paper or an idea coming to life. You're seeing the impact that you're making in the market. You're engaging with the different players in the financial space and all of that. So that's been very, very enlightening. But then also, got experience in, as you know, when you're in a small firm, you get experience in a whole lot of different activities instead of being narrowed down to a single job. So, I know regulation way more than I should, and all of that. So, so it's been very, very interesting.
And maybe tell us, how does A2X differ from the JSE TOWAX and the new Cape Town Stock Exchange?
Okay, 100%. So I think it's important just to split it up. So what A2X does is that we're a secondary exchange listing. We provide companies with the opportunity to secondary list. It's a practice that's actually quite established, worldwide. And the JSE, for instance, itself has got, secondary listings, your Process, Naspers, AB, InBev, et cetera, et cetera. So how does A2X differ from the JSE specifically is that, we're 50% cheaper. So think about the fact that, you want to buy, say, an MTN share. You can either choose to transact it on the JSE, or you can choose to buy the exact same share on A2X. Why would someone want to buy it on A2X? Because you're saving on the fee. You get that benefit. So you can imagine now with a lot of institutional clients, who trade, that those basis point savings, that 50% saving, builds up to quite a large amount at the end of the year. In terms of being different to ZARX and 4AX, A2X specifically, we focus, again, as I said, on the secondary market, and specifically in terms of institutions. So whereas ZARX, 4AX, they really focus in terms of the retail investments, the retail investors being the normal man on the street. So that's the big differentiator between us.
Okay. And you also mentioned earlier that, you were quite interested in doing investments yourself. What investment is currently your flavor of the month? Which one are you doing research on and interested on currently?
Look, I generally shy away from speaking about specific names, even to my friends and everyone, just because I think I recognize the fact that what I say and my voice is going to have influence in terms of how decisions are made. And as you know, with investments, there's always risk and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't punt a specific company. But just to say that, when I did do it, I actually, in fact, one of the reasons why I got that made it very easy, not easy, but easier, when I was moving from FMCG to financial markets, was that, I showed the guys, this is what I've been doing on the side, this is what I've been able to build. And, from there, they were quite impressed, and I got the opportunity that I did.
Okay. No. That's a good one. So next time we'll have a disclaimer at the bottom as well, just in case.
Yeah.
Maybe, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Good question. I think just to believe in yourself more, and as to back yourself, and just that inherent trust, to keep learning, to keep that your dreams are valid, and keep going for them regardless.
It's a great way to summarize our little chat. Any last words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Look, I think I can't leave this space without speaking about A2X. I think it's a really, really, what we're doing and what we've managed to achieve is really great. And I always want to encourage, specifically, seeing that we're on LinkedIn Live and other platforms, is that to encourage companies to secondary list on our exchange. It's free. One of the things that you're able to get, so there's no cost to listing. You give your investors choice in terms of where it is they want to transact. More than that, you save 50%. You're helping to grow the financial markets industry in South Africa, and specifically bringing competition into the country. And then importantly, you're also able to access liquidity pools which were previously not there. So that would be a quick 30-second elevator pitch.
Awesome. That's a great way to end. The show has been live on YouTube and will be on the podcast tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value to you, Don't forget to like and subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Otsile, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Joyce. Much appreciated.
Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat.